This is the XNC Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox Newscast. Welcome to the XNC Podcast. My name's Colteastwood, and what a week it has been. And it is strange having, a bunch of old guys running a podcast, but I'm here joined with somebody that doesn't fit in that category whatsoever. A good friend of mine, thanks to Xbox Fan Fest and E3, and this is That Blue Number. Wait, yeah, over here. Welcome to the show. I can't believe you're here. What the heck were you thinking?
I'm thinking that you are one of my very good friends, and I am so happy to fill in for the fabulous Meg. I won't do it quite justice, but I am happy to sit here and talk to you and fight for Womanscaped and all of the other things that Xbox related for the week.
Yeah, and Xbox Gate. It's like,
yeah.
Oh man, it's time for a cold drink. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Hey, surprise! It's Mountain Dew.
Yeah, real big surprise. Well, I mean, I guess now would be a good time to kind of introduce you to everybody. You're an up and coming podcaster. That's really all I can say. Is like, here comes That Blue Number. That Blue Number's been on a couple of podcasts. Renegade Realm Podcast, a standard podcast co-host or panel member. That is on Red Wolf's podcast, a good friend of ours. And also on the Infinite Podcast, which runs every Friday, that Risk It for the Biscuit runs. So you've been, getting your opinion out there, and we're glad to see you here. What else makes you famous?
Not a ding-dang thing, but... I do my part on those shows. Thanks to the connections that I made through the community. They are all very good friends, just like you. And I am very grateful to you and Brisket and Red Wolf and just all of the other people on the panels. We all just have a super fantastic relationship through gaming, and that's unique, right? It's a type of community that you don't really know that you have until you have it, and it's special.
Yeah, so, it's the happy part of what comes in the gaming community. We were playing the Division 2 with Red Wolf and with Danta, another good friend that we've met with. So we were hanging out playing that game for hours. We have a lot of other people in the party chat. So when we're gaming, we're constantly we're in podcast mode. We're talking about the news. And Meg's not here today. He celebrated his 87th birthday this weekend. So he sent me a video of him singing karaoke. He said, I'm totally drunk. It's 2 a.m. I'm singing karaoke. And he sent me a little bit there, and he's just been living life. And he said, I wouldn't be able to make it home in time for the show. So we're glad to have you on. So what's your favorite game? Tell everybody, what's your favorite thing? I think I might know.
You already know it, I'm sure you do. It goes back to your hypothesis about the Xbox 360 generation and all of the best games, right? My favorite game is actually BioShock 1, the original. I love that game. I love it. And almost everything that Arcane makes is my follow-up to that. Dishonored is my second favorite game. I super love Dishonored. It's brilliant. So I'm really interested in seeing what they do with Blade, because that's a very different feel, but they're so special that I think that they can knock it out of the park.
Yeah, they're not afraid to make some really gruesome kills. Is it going to be first person or third person?
I think it's going to be third, but we shall see. They're excellent at stealth, so we'll see. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. A lot of people say this studio doesn't know how to make third-person games. They'll say things like that. I just don't think that's how video game development works.
No.
There's a different animation sets that you have to do if you're in first person. Like if you're first person game, you have to be really particular about everything you see from the forearms down and the weapons and all that. So those things have to be really super honed. But if you make a third person game, you can make concessions. And obviously I think developers know how to do everything when it comes to what camera view it is. So I would be really surprised to see Arcane Leon make this third person game and really knock it out of the park. I hope they do. So far they've done really well. So yeah. Middle Lemon in the chat goes, Colt, give me the surprise face. Wow, what a week it's been. Yeah. We're going to, today on the show, we're going to talk about the long wait for Xbox's business update, what that was going to mean, the bombshell that dropped from PlayStation just a day before, the reaction to that. Holly and I are going to break down what the messaging was, how to read between the lines, what the future means for PlayStation, Xbox. We're going to talk a little bit about the hardware that they're teasing, some of the over-exaggerated hyperboles. And before we do that, Holly, I'll give you a break to just kind of relax for a minute. I know it's... Thank you, everybody who's rolling in here at the show. We've got over 500 people here checking us out. I'm going to give a big thanks out to the channel member veterans and patrons. I don't always get to read these names, but special thanks to KY Bob, Assassin Lupa, Jazzy Newtbox, Ricky Falon, Hargit Johnny, Jason Lewan, Lord Cinder, William Riggs, Farscape, Matt Houston, Zimic, Happy Bomb, Dexatron, Matt Burns, William Lanza, Yodana Kizade, Robert Jackson, Dante J. Moody, Betamax, Dark CMF. A lot of these are friends that we know personally, we've met in real life. Septic Sauce, Center White, Devario 2 Gaming, V Simcoe, Assassin, Poochie Dub, Raiden Blade Acute Perspective, Risk It for the Biscuit, True 77, Michael Ford, Red Source, Attitude Deer, Pen Pineapple Pen, Trail Robert, Star Sanji, Meat Puppet, Red Wolf, Alan Deltry, Gamer by Choice, Jedi J Goalie, Rippin, Highlander, Techno Caveman, Fire 71, That Blue Number. There's one. Kung Fu Hot Dog, Uncle Chowder. Hey, check out Kung Fu Hot Dog's channel, would you? Hilarious dude. Uncle Chowder, Shooter 2853, Text Made, VMAC, Cliptos, B Martin, Zith Thord, Good Old Collingwood, Lawrence Davenport, Dead Time, KJ Wars, Dusty Patterson, Darkwave Mortem, and Lord Starkiller. And thank you for being patient as I read all those cool names. We appreciate you. Yeah, let's get into the topics, Holly. Let's talk about what happened. It was so, I guess before we get into the business update, can I ask you candidly what you thought or how your emotional response was to the rumors and everything we thought was going to be dropped on us on that Thursday? Like, how are you feeling?
Oh gosh. I was exhausted. Like, my brain hurt by like Tuesday afternoon. I was just like, I don't care anymore. I've been through all the stages of grief. I don't know what's going on anymore. Like the thing is that I would like to just go on a little tangent here about people who talk about rumors, people who provide information, people who speculate. That guy's definitely not one of them. Don't worry about him. Look, I understand and appreciate that nobody really knows what's going to happen until it happens. And I think everybody needs to keep in check and keep in mind that rumors and speculation are that, right? And I think you and like some of the others that have been called out, like Jez and Tom Warren, and Nate the Hate, and Special Nick, and all the big names, right? It is simply providing information. Nobody said this is 100% what's going to happen. So the fact that Twitter, the infinite world of Twitter, right, which is where everybody lives, not at all, blew up. That really disappointed me. They are rumors, they are speculation. And at the end of the day, this is gaming. So we kind of have to pull it back a little bit and remember this is a hobby that we all love. But we don't really know until we know. And there's also the speculation of what was true and what wasn't. We will never know. So it's really hard to tell somebody you lied about this or you said this when in all reality, those could be actual things that may have been tossed around. They could have been on the table a week ago. They could have been on the table 6 months ago and they got pulled off the table in the meantime. We don't know. But they are speculation, and it's valid to listen and to take the perspective, but also take a step back and say, it is a rumor. It is speculation. We need to pause. Think about it, but not freak out. We can't freak out, right?
Yeah, well, let's address the crazy, scary elephant in the room when it comes to freaking out, because there were content creators or people just on social media that were saying, man, you know, if they take Game Pass day and date away, or if they add another tier, or if Xbox removes the name and changes them to Microsoft Gaming, like everyone was saying, hey, if this happens, this is how I feel. And then you've got people like, let's just single myself out. I've got a podcast, I've got videos that people have watched, and I say, hey, this is what we're hearing. This is what if, this is what could happen. And I use all that verbiage, right? But, you know, people can look at that from just kind of like lean back and look at that from a distance and go, Colteastwood said they're going to do this, and this, and this, and he's stirring up and pouring gasoline over the rumors. But I'm the one who sat there and recorded in front of a camera for 20 minutes and made a production video where I used lots of words like, this is what we're hearing, this could be happening. And I really think it's kind of tough to stay out of the way of rumors, but isn't it kind of nice once in a while when you hear something where there's smoke, there's fire, to get into a discussion and maybe open up the comment section and say, how would you feel if you got games day and date, you had them best and you had first, and Xbox started to put those on PlayStation? Like, what does that look like? And that's how it was framed to me from Nate the Hate, who actually, thankfully, didn't get a whole bunch of hate from his reports because he was very short and to the point. So I think it's okay to talk about those things. The problem, we just live in a culture of people would rather hear what if than what is coming or what's already out, I suppose. So, I did
too much absolute, a little too much absolute sometimes too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did a little apology at the end of my video I put out, Thursday afternoon. And then one of my good friends is like, why are you apologizing? Like, this stuff's kind of already happening. Like, the bulk of my videos, like, these 4 games will probably come to PlayStation 5. That's what we're hearing. Now they're talking about big games like Starfield and what was the other one? Indiana Jones. And I said in the video, I'm like, why? Well, if you're going to put Starfield or Indiana Jones, why not do, if the justification is these games are too big, why not just put them all everywhere? And that's a conversation that I think people should have. But there was kind of a knee-jerk reaction, wasn't there? Where people needed someone to attack. I feel like...
But do they, though? But do they? That's sort of the problem, right? I mean...
Well, is someone going to lash out at Phil Spencer and say, how dare you? Or are they going to go after the people who respond right away, like me or Xbox Era or Tom Warren, right? You followed some of that. Like, what were some of the things people were saying?
Oh, it was brutal. Jez and Tom Warren, who listens to all of these shows, right? They join the chat, they listen. They know people that we don't know, or that, like, none of us know. They know what's going on. And man, all they did was report on this is a possibility, or tweeted about the idea of what if, right? Wrote an article about what if, what are the potential ramifications for X, Y, and Z? And then they became the target along with yourself, but especially those guys, right? Because everybody thinks that because they write for somebody that's it. They know 100%. They're telling us everything that's actually coming, when they clearly write as speculation as well. But that's just, sometimes when you're in that role, you're the easy punching bag, right? And honestly,
right.
A lot of it should fall back towards Microsoft and Xbox about letting it get this far, because those rumors were around for 4 to 6 weeks. before any of this happened. And I understand, right? They were planning on their own thing, but it just like became a massive snowball at the end. So
especially that last like less than 2 weeks where
yeah,
they could have brought that in a tweet. Before we get into that, I got to have a huge shout out to Lotus Spree, who just sent me a massive super chat. Outstanding. Which, oh my gosh, thank you so much. He says, this one is for the haters. Keep up the amazing work. Lotus Spree's amazing. He sent out an email to me the other day. He actually ordered, I told him, what do you want? I'll send you something for my merch store. And I got these cool hoodies. I think he picked a hoodie. I'm going to get that ordered for him and get that sent out to him. But I really appreciate the pouring out of love and support from this community. What a weird, strange thing that happened to me this weekend. And I normally don't talk about stuff like this on the channel, but there was like 3 different people that live on Twitter. Like, you know, there's Twitter where everyone talks about their favorite thing. And then there's that alley with the little concrete ditch where all the garbage and the sludge, like alleyway where the wheel on the dumpster gets stuck. There's like that section of Twitter that really went full force against me over the weekend. So I wanted to clear the air that I said on my show last week that so stupid. I called Helldivers a cover shooter. And I listened back to my show this morning. I'm like, why in the world did I say cover shooter? I meant to say third-person shooter. I don't know why I used the word cover, but, you know, when you're live and you're on the air and you're just talking and you don't realize and you say something that was totally wrong and dumb misspoke. They were also mad, Holly, that I said, is it okay if I call you Holly once in a while on the show?
you're good. Yep.
I'm good? Okay.
That's out the bag now.
I mean, I think you get called that a lot on your other shows too. But anyway.
I do.
Okay, thank goodness. What was the other thing? I don't remember. Helldiver. Oh, yeah. I said it drops you in a random location. You've played the game, Holly. And I want to ask you here in just a second. But I said it drops you in a random location. And they're like, no, it doesn't. You get to pick a location. I'm like, come on. It's like it's like pick A, B, or C. And then you drop in. Like, I meant the map. Like, you drop into a random part of destroyed Earth. You're not in like some connected world. But like I said, I was fairly decent at the game, but sometimes a game just doesn't really like click with you. Like sometimes they do. And I was playing, I'm like, I just don't see why I would play this very much. And that really bothered people, but you and record-breaking people, others like it. So tell me quickly, what do you like about Helldivers? Because you're still playing it.
I am. Helldivers is interesting. And I was thinking about it because I know you said, like yesterday I was thinking about it. I was like, Cole said he didn't like this that much. And I was the difference I think between your gaming style or preference and my gaming preference is that I am a Call of Duty shill and I play Call of Duty all the time, besides all the other stuff, but I'm always in Call of Duty. I like shooters. I like first person shooters. It's just fun. So Helldivers for me, it's a third-person shooter. All right, cool. Like, let's try it out. And there's some issues with it. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. But
do lay on me the issues, because there's things I just didn't like about it, and it just go ahead.
Well, okay. So it is definitely a squad-based game. You need to play with other people. You can go in alone, but it's just really fun when you have people to play with. So you could match make and all that stuff, but it's meant to be funny
I did that too.
And fun. So it's fun to play with other people. Second of all, they don't explain squat. Like nothing. Like you do the tutorial and you're like, okay, I know how to move and shoot. Check. I know how to throw a grenade. Check. But then after that, figuring out where you're supposed to go, the fact that the difficulty tiers you unlock, the fact that Colt, I kid you not, it was 8 hours into playing this game before I realized that you can move the drop, like where you drop in on the map. I just thought you had to drop where it was. I didn't know. Nobody ever said anything.
I mean, you get to pick like 2 or 3 locations. Like, at least that's what I figured.
everything around and try to figure out where you want. Had no idea. I just thought it like brought the map up again. I'm like, okay. There's no explanation of the upgrade system. You kind of figure that out on your own, but there's no explanation at all. The cosmetics are not great. And then
some guy was like level 6 and he had the Spartan or whatever, like the Greek wings. I'm like, lame. No, but I didn't get into that. So to be fair, I can't say I didn't get into the progression stuff. That's like, okay, I want to do more matches. So yeah, I didn't give it the fair shot.
There's some mechanical things that I think if they switched them up, like it doesn't auto reload, your magazine empties and then you're standing there like, why won't you reload? And then you realize you have to hit the button and there's 25 bugs like eating your face off at the same time. So, but it's fun. The goof of screaming for freedom and democracy,
awesome. Yep.
And that's hilarious, right? That is so good. But I feel like it takes a lot. The game is really interesting because I don't feel like it has a lot of its own original ideas, but it has tons of elements of a ton of different things. Halo, it's got Starship Troopers, obviously. It's got
Earth
some
Defense
extraction
Force
shooter stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like pulled in a lot of stuff.
I think I might have said this last week, but there are matches where you're fighting just robots or mechs, and those were way better to fight than the bugs. So I really liked that. Like just the visceral explosion of the sparks and stuff like that was pretty cool in the way they come after you. But people, it's breaking records right now. It's so bad. It's so good. It's so good at breaking records that people are spending hours waiting to get on. They're like hot spots during the time where you can't even log on. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, you chat. You are crazy over here. Yeah, thank you so much for. Yeah, Helldivers. I have to take the L. It's gonna score like the same as Starfield, and it is the total testament that AA games have become the new sweet spot of things that everybody actually loves. I feel like AAA gaming is part of one of the topics today. It's got so overblown. I think it's kind of hurt itself in many ways. You know, like we were playing Power World. You played a little bit of Power World, didn't you?
I played a lot of Power World. Yep.
I kind of gave up, but I think everybody kind of did. It had a 2-week hotspot, and I wonder if Helldivers will have this 2-week amazing hotspot, and then people are like, okay, I'm kind of done. Or maybe it'll just go for months. I don't know. But
that's the problem with these. I always call them flash pan games because they flash in the pan, right? And then you don't know, like it could really grow a community and live, but it's only as good as quickly as it's supported. So like, new content, new to keep people coming back all the time, right? It's why Halo suffered.
Yeah. And to be fair, I have to say that there are some of these games that I don't know, like my buddy Fonz was calling them horde shooters or horde games, like World War Z, or what was that extraction game that came out from Ubisoft? I think it was just called Extraction, but those type of game, Rainbow Six Extraction, yeah.
Extraction.
Those, I just never really liked those games. I'll jump in a party with friends and everybody's like, oh, we got to get this, we got to play it. And I'll play like 3 rounds. And I'm like, I'm just not having fun. But we were having a good time playing Division, but Division can kind of be like that too. It can kind of be like Helldivers, but in a big open city. So whatever. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. That's just to make things super uncomfortable. Wait, where is it? Well, shoot.
Super uncomfortable.
I was going to make things really uncomfortable. I should do my ad read right now. And I'm like, where is it? I don't think I have it in here. But let me do this ad read really quick. And the best part about having you here is you actually, Manscaped is our sponsor of the channel, as well as Pushing Polygons, who's here in the chat. Say hi to him, please. Go to his channel. Please sub to him. He does content about retro gaming and current gaming and hardware. But we're going to talk about Manscaped because you actually replied to the official Manscaped account. And what did you...
I know. I was like, wait, I'm trying to pull it up as you're talking about it because I thought I was genius. And of course, Twitter does not always think that, but
all right, I'm gonna read part of this while you pull up your receipt of the. Okay, well, so XNC Podcast is sponsored by Manscaped, and with the code XNC, you can get 20% off of the Lawnmower 5.0. I don't have it here with me today, but it is it's very small and it's cordless, it's wireless, you can charge it quickly with USB, and it can take care of all of your hair trimming needs. Stuff that, sometimes is just a guy's business. I don't have a script. I'm just kind of going off the top because I've got you here and it's kind of very interesting. But yeah, you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the XNC code. That's also here on the overlay. It's got a couple of ball guards, they call them. I don't know why they call them that. I'm not sure. I'm not real familiar, but it's waterproof. I definitely need that. Oh, geez. Sorry, I'm a prude. What could I say? But it's waterproof, so you can use it in the shower, or you can do, stand over the sink. Don't do that, though. Please don't stand over the sink. Somebody's going to yell at you. But, thanks to this partnership with Manscaped, any of you that check that out, the 20% off with that code in the description is also there in a link if you want to check it out. But we appreciate them for sponsoring the podcast so that we can keep the studio lights on and be trimmed, clipped, and ready for action, I guess, would be. There. I just coined something. Did you find that tweet? What did you say to Manscaped?
I did. Okay, chat. We need to start a campaign. I tweeted at Manscaped February 13th, right before Valentine's Day, okay? I've been thinking about this tweet for months, but I finally went, now is the time I'm going to do it. So I said, hey, Manscaped, why are you only for men? Instead of the lawnmower, where's the Lady Lockless or the Pardon My Garden? The Genital Jenny, perhaps a perfect pedal Polly. Call me.
You even did most of the marketing for them?
I did. I came up with the names. I can help you with the branding. You got this face. Like I could put a little Manscaped in the corner over there. Like, except it would have to be the whatever you choose out of the ones. They retweeted me pretty quickly and went, LOL, nah.
Nah. They just shut you down. They didn't bring you on to the next company outing or nothing, huh?
No. They were just like, nah, but good try.
You know what that means? Chat, is that they were like, nah. And then they're going to take all the everything for themselves. Yeah.
That's right. I'll
20%
be watching Manscaped.
Yeah, when you see that that baby blue device come out or whatever color they make it, pink or hey, let's make it androgynous so everybody can enjoy it. Yeah, that'll be. Thanks for that, Holly. That makes everything less comfortable for me. Less, more, and more comfortable. All right, let's talk about this Xbox business update. We all know we've digested it over the weekend. We've all pointed fingers at other people, but there's some key takeaways from Sarah Bond, Matt, and Phil. Somebody told me that Phil looked very perturbed during that, and I didn't catch that. Did you think he looked kind of annoyed during this podcast?
I didn't think he was annoyed. I think I feel like it was more he was just I don't want to say disappointed, more uncomfortable with the fact that they had to do this before they were ready to do it. Like they said, they were moving this up and trying to do it very quickly. And I'm sure that everything was extremely scripted for what they needed to say now, given the landscape, given the fact that the other people are going to be announcing the games when the time is right. And given the fact that there's a court case going on, there's just a lot going on with them right now. And I think he's just so somber with what they're trying to do.
I mean, does any other company have to do this? Like, you've been around, you've worked with so many different types of groups, and you've paid attention to the games industry for so long. Has any other company had to say, look, we need to do an emergency meeting because the fans are mad?
See, this is no, but the reason that Xbox has wound up in this situation, in my opinion, is the fact that Sony and Nintendo have had a very clear identity for a very long time, and they have just laid down the law, and it's not wavered for the most of their history. Like, this is it. Like, they hardline everything, and Xbox is more consumer focused, I would say, or more, they attempt to do more, engage with their consumers more. Plus, they've had a lot of transitions in the last
more
10
fan
years.
focused, but then yeah,
they are more fan focused.
Yeah,
but they're also coming from behind, and they're also trying all of these new things. So the line is always sort of wobbly on certain things that are coming up and happening, and that's business. I mean, things happen. You have to pivot. You have to change. It's part of business. But they're the only one in the landscape that, you know, has changed a lot of things over the last 10 to 15 years in ways that Sony and Nintendo don't really do. So they don't have a very clear identity in what they will and won't do. Because now it's, well, what are you doing? You would never ask Nintendo when Mario is coming to Xbox. Like, you just wouldn't. It sounds ridiculous even saying it, right? It sounds absolutely insane even saying it, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound insane to say Sea of Thieves is going to insert here.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, hey, real quick. She makes a good point about Nintendo. There's a direct coming up at the end of the week where we'll probably see, I think they're thinking it's going to be Pentiment before it's Sea of Thieves, but we got Big Shum in the chat who has never watched my content, doesn't watch the podcast, doesn't follow a lot of the content that I cover, and he said, he told me to get a real job. I'm like, I don't want two on top of doing content creation, but he asked why a console war. So you guys should probably understand by now, especially with the way that the video game market is going. This will be a big discussion we'll be talking about on the show today, is that the console war per se is been pretty much put to rest for the past 10 years. And on my channel, I don't specifically point at just one piece of plastic. It's very silly in this gaming market, in this landscape where we have so many choices and so many ways to play our games, where just looking at something versus white console versus black console doesn't do anybody any favors. No one actually really cares. People are playing on the device they want. They're playing games wherever they want. I'm on Steam all week playing Enshrouded. I like some things from Helldivers. So there's just going to be games that I won't like. But I did say last week, and I said today, I'm glad it's doing well. And I know it's a good game because people are loving it. And that doesn't, numbers do not lie, that people will play games that they're loving them. And that's just how it is. As well as there's just a lot, there's a lot to unpack tonight. We're going to talk about that blue number, about how the gaming landscape is going to change. And I think in the end, we're all going to be like, you know what, I'm all right with this. I'm getting more choice. Let's go into that business update. Some of the things they said, actually, they put in a tweet thread where everyone was like, why didn't you do this like a week ago? But some of the things they said were they want some of their games to go to bigger communities. Now, I'll ask you about this one because I think Xbox is going to be kind of weird about how they pick games that will eventually make their way over to the Switch. Maybe some of these 4 games, we'll break those down right now. I'll start with that, Holly. There's 4 games. I think not all of them could be coming to PS5. Maybe, let's start with Pentiment, the smallest one. It might only go, I'm just going to say this here, and it's just a guess. It's not a prediction. It's nothing that I've heard, but I'm just like thinking, maybe Pentiment only comes to Switch. Like maybe that's just one thing they're going to do. They talk to Nintendo and Pentiment only goes to Switch. What do you think is going to happen with Pentiment, and how do you think it's going to sell?
It's a tough
Where do you
one.
think it's going? How will it sell, I guess?
I think it makes sense for the Switch because it's a very story-driven game, right? It's not intense. It's a great grab and go, walk around with it. How well it will sell, I am a little worried for it just because I think it is a great game and it's beautiful, but it's definitely niche. It's not for everyone. And it didn't do that well on Xbox itself. So I'm not really sure how it's going to do on the other platforms. It's not necessarily a kid-focused game either. Not that Switches are primarily for children. It's
very
adult.
mature. Mm-hmm.
So that also limits your market too. I don't know. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on Pentiment?
I think Pentiment is interesting because it feels like we want to put these games on other platforms to give them new life, prepare for sequels, or to build a community with them. And then he also said in a roundabout way, it kind of gauges us on whether we should continue to put more games on PlayStation and Nintendo. At least that's how I read what he was saying. I thought, Pentiment's not really a good example. Like you said, I would agree, it probably didn't sell big numbers on Xbox. A year later, if it goes to Switch, or even if it goes to Switch and PlayStation 5, how well is it going to sell? Like, if it sold 1 million copies, I don't know what it did. It probably sold less than that. Are you going to sell another 300,000 a year later? Or is that going to be an indication of, that didn't work out. We kind of hurt the viscosity of the brand by putting a game on another platform, and we didn't sell that many. Let's move on from Pentiment and talk about the other game. We think it's Grounded. I think Grounded is fantastic. I love it.
So much Grounded you have. Yes.
Like 400 or 500 hours. It is one of the best games of 2022. I would love to see this one drop on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation. Before we do that, I don't know, you're probably not super tech minded when it comes to this, but some people are saying, are these games even going to run on a Nintendo Switch? Because the Switch isn't supposed to come out till 2026 or 2025. 2025, sorry.
25. Yeah. Is it going to run on a I would think Pentiment would run.
Of course.
Just fine. It is something to be said about Grounded and the other two. I don't know. They do amazing things on the Switch even now. So I think if Microsoft wants to do it, they'll find a way. I just don't really think it's gonna. I think it'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, you're right, because the Grounded runs at a unlocked 60 on the Xbox One X. It doesn't hold it very well, but that's the last generation console. So a pared down version of Grounded would run at 30 on the Switch. I would believe it would. And obviously it would run amazing on a PS5. So I don't think that's a problem. The other game is Sea of Thieves, which was made for an Xbox One. So do you think that Sea of Thieves is meant to go to PlayStation and Switch?
To me, I think both Grounded and Sea of Thieves would definitely go to PlayStation. They're multiplayer games. They need a lot of people to be playing with them. And these games have been out for a while, especially Sea of Thieves. We're in year 5, I think it is, right? Year 5 for Sea of Thieves. And
yeah,
I mean, it has a big community on its own, but I mean, that's a long time for people to be playing it and to continue it, and they want to continue it. So to me, the massive multiplayer games like that, why not put them everywhere, keep the community going? I think if you are very committed to those, you'd probably rather have them bring in other players than wind up having the game shut down much earlier than you would normally have it because of a lack of community.
Yeah, and I don't know how healthy the community is for Grounded, but I think Sea of Thieves has continually just been going along, and people are always playing it. You can jump in at any time. Phil also alludes that these games might need to be kind of fertilized for a sequel. And it makes me wonder, like a Grounded 2 sequel or a Sea of Thieves, another Sea of Thieves where they go bigger and better. It could be a really big deal. Let me grab a couple of chats here as we. I love the chat. Thank you guys so much. I'm kind of keeping an eye. There's a couple people who come in here. I just had to laugh this week when people make personal insults over someone who likes a video game they don't like or doesn't like. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys are psychotic. The people do that. But KJ Wars, thank you so much for the member chat. He just gives a little wave there. And Highlander gifted 5 memberships. If you want to become a member, a member of the channel, you get your icon and a colored name in the chat. So you stand out in the chat and you can say, hey, look at me. It's pretty cool. I also do early access and giveaways on there as well. Roberto Malandono, thank you so much for the $5 super. He says, do you think next-gen Xbox will be backward compatible with current original Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Series X games? He means the ones that are already back compat. He says, also love the show. Roberto, yes, absolutely. I think that's at the top of their priority. And with the architecture, Fluster's, I think, of words. Yes, of course, it'll be back compat. Phil even said that during the, do you remember what he said during the business update about preservation? I was kind of, at that moment, I was kind of wandering my mind.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Yeah, I think he's like, I think we like it.
Yeah.
It was funny when I was watching this, like I was taking notes. I had my phone. I was punching everything I was going to say in the following video I would make when the thing was done. And my wife came in to talk to me and like, oh, Sarah Bond's talking and she was talking about, an Xbox, we really think it's great to have Xbox and Xbox games are good for Xboxing. And if you're on Xbox, and so I was just talking to her over here, wasn't paying attention. And during that 1 minute I was talking to her, Sarah Bond's like, and we're going to make a next generation console and it's going to have a leap so big your pants are going to fall off. And I totally missed it. And she's like, she leaves the room and I completely missed that. Let's talk about the pants falling off for the next generation console. She says it'll be the most technical. It was what?
That was a big bomb.
Yeah, and I missed it. I was like, oh. Yeah, what does that mean? Like, of course it's going to be the most technological leap. Like, when you make a new console, it's going to be more powerful than the last one. But what are you reading between the lines there, and what parts do you think are just a smoke show?
AI.
No pun intended. Oh!
It's AI.
You have the floor. Go ahead. Do tell. What do you think that means, AI?
Well, I think that, we all know, right, that AI is making a come up in a big way right now. And look at Microsoft pushing Copilot on my PC right now. In the bottom right-hand corner is Copilot just waiting for me to hit it and go. My cell phone, I just upgraded my phone, and I got the 24 Ultra. And
you got a new phone. And you don't even have to do anything, it just does it for you?
It's all about AI, everything. They're like, pull your pen out, circle this thing, and it'll tell you everything you want to know. You want to buy it? I got you. Here you go. Like, it does the AI for Photoshop. It does in the phone. It will fill in stuff. AI is where everything is going, and we know that AI is being used in software development and with games. So I am 100% sure that AI is going to be in this box in a big way.
Okay. That's a super great educated response when it comes to thinking about what this could possibly mean, because you always get the it eats monsters for breakfast. And then you get the Xbox Series X. It's like, where's the ray tracing at 60? Oh, man. Yeah. So let's clarify with AI, because it's actually a touchy thing for me when it comes to AI, because when Midjourney came out last year, Gaz and I were like, all over Midjourney when it was really brand new. And I remember making an image that would become a popular Fable video I made a year ago. And it created this pastel oil painting landscape with flowers and wispy mountains and beautiful, colorful clouds. And then this woman standing there in like a fantasy dress. But you look at it and it's like, it's a figure of a woman, Holly, but it's not distinctly, you can zoom in, it's like just enough of the shape to resemble a person. And I'm like, that's so cool that it can do that. It can pull from all these ideals and make this. But now, you fast forward a year later, with just a small sentence, you can create a really specific thing. And the reason why I say that is it really stifles what we think of as creativity. And me as an illustrator, a designer, I stopped using it in thumbnails because it had this look where I'm like, ugh, yuck. That's how I started to get repulsed to it over the past few months. But this isn't what the AI is in the console. What are you expecting the AI to do to make it a technological leap?
Well, first and foremost, I am not a hardware techie guru.
Holly, if the endoplasmic
extraordinaire.
reticulum in the silicon was able to bypass the electrons.
Do you know the amount of research it took for me to buy this PC and be like, what is a what? And it does what? Okay, now how does that make it?
Oh my gosh.
What does that mean to me to be able to play this game? That's all I really want to know, right?
Yeah.
But no, I went through it, and like I think what it will do is make, I think it's going to be a lot of things kind of like how Quick Resume was the latest thing that came with the X, right? And you're like, okay, what's the big freaking deal? And then you try it and you're like, this is the best thing that I didn't know that I needed, right? I think it's going to be a lot of that. I think it's going to be a lot of like speed. I think it's going to provide some speed, right?
Okay.
Like with loading and kind of knowing. It's intuitive, right? I mean, AI is always intuitive,
AI
right?
is meant
So
to
it's
like
going to
look
learn
forward
from how you do things, right? And make it easier for you. It's going to increase your dumbness. It's going to let you do what you want to do, and it's going to put it in front of you. Like, you want to do this, right? And be like, yes, I do. That's exactly what I want.
Some of the game things are not on Microsoft or Xbox or the hardware team for the console or whatever for AI, but what they are talking about right now is a bespoke Microsoft version of DLSS or AMD Super Resolution, where it will be built into the box to work with the actual hardware to up-res or up-samp. I don't know what words. Up-interpolate frame rate. Frame rate interpolation has been something that a lot of people said, why aren't they doing this now? But it brings a lot of massive latency, where it looks ahead and it guesses what the next frame is going to be. And your TV already does it, but it introduces tons of latency. So behind the controller, it can feel really slippery. But if you get something where AI fills in the rest of the gaps and can make it instantly responsive, you can get games that don't have to try and target 60. AI will make up the rest of the deficit. Right now, games could always run at a high resolution, close to 60 or maybe 45 with some ray tracing on. But if you can't hold that, it's not worth doing it. And if AI can fill in the gaps and make that happen, then that's what they're talking about, where this box will be made to do those things to make the games run better. The part of AI on the developer side, when they're making games where they say, hey, we need a bunch of billboards that fill up the world and we're going to have AI build them, that starts to take away jobs. But hey, I really appreciate you guys here. We've had 1,000 people watching for most of the show here, and somebody said something so foolish. I just gotta say something to him, even though my moderator removed it. We got Carsey in the chat, who doesn't know anything about content creation, who said, "I love this. This makes me so happy that Colin destroyed me because I make sizzle reels." If you guys know anything about my channel, I make scissor reels for my videos. And then I share them on social media so more people can see them. And those are for my videos. And it's just, people really need to learn how to just enjoy things. Just really enjoy things. Because, sometimes people like to use their talents and their abilities. Carsey doesn't know how to use any brain power. Let's move on to the next thing. Is it possible that Xbox says they have, what were the words? A multi-year hardware roadmap for consoles was the quote from their tweet thread that they put up after the Xbox business update. Before I talk about that, I got to say, one of the things that we're really worried about, some of my friends really kind of fell out with what was going on with this. They kind of really freaked out about what Xbox's future could entail, because we were worried that Game Pass would lose access to day one games, that no Activision Blizzard games would come. And Xbox really doubled down and said, Game Pass, this is a quote from them, Game Pass will continue to be available on Xbox platforms and will have all first-party games playable on day one, close quote. Did you think that they would probably try to cut some Game Pass benefits to make up their deficit? Were you believing that?
That rumor to me was a little more suspect. I was expecting, if that was even on the table, they would have just raised the price again.
Yeah.
I am glad that that's not on the table because it's too early to start going into those money cuts. And the one thing that did surprise me though, as far as day and date, was I was very skeptical and did not think that Call of Duty was going to go into Game Pass day and date. I thought that that was going to stay out of it. I thought it was going to be its own thing. I thought if you wanted Call of Duty, you can either wait 6 months to a year to hop in, or you can just buy it. I don't ever remember Phil specifically saying that Call of Duty was going to be day and date in Game Pass, but I am very glad to hear it at this business update that it is. That was a bit of a surprise to me.
I mean, is that your confirmation when he says all first party games will be going to Game Pass? That means to you that Call of Duty is coming day and date.
He said all Activision Blizzard King games are coming to Game Pass day and date. So
when he talked about the ABK update. I don't think I have that quote with me, unfortunately. I don't believe you. No.
It's okay. I'll get tweeted at tomorrow. It's fine. Tweet at me. It's all right.
You'll get clipped. Yeah, you'll get clipped. Colt said is a cover shooter. Dang it.
Look at these two shills. Yep.
Yeah, I love that so much. Hey, we got a channel member chat from our good friend Udana Kizada, who's been with us 49 months, which is as a channel member, but he's been the moderator for 137 episodes. That's the one we're on. Hit the like button if you haven't even asked anybody yet, but if you're having a good time and you think you might learn something from us and enjoy the show, we appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up. That shows a major support for the podcast when it's live. Appreciate that. I actually don't know what that does, but I'm just asking if you're having a good time, hit the like button and then come back to the chat and yell at someone in a nice way. Radani Kazada says, sir, this is literally a GameStop. It's Mamscaped. It's Mamscaped was pretty good. I gotta admit.
Yadani needs to be my agent when it's time.
Yadani's got like one of those flipboard things with the paper.
Yep.
Okay, here's my next name. Rodrigo Ballum, thank you so much for the 2 Ruple, I think it is. I'm learning. And forgive me if not. He says, guys, do we have any news about Gears 6? Does it exist? No, we don't. I talked to someone. Remember when we were at E3 and we would hang out at the lobby at the, what's it called? The Marriott?
The JW?
The JW. Yeah, JW Marriott, right? We would sit there and we had lots of conversation with lots of people who are lots of connected to things. And I was told that afternoon when we were sitting there that Gears 6 looks amazing. And I'm like, where is it? And they told me that it wasn't ready for showcase. I think we just had showcase that one at that time. Because they were like 3 days, right? And I thought it would come at the VGAs. It didn't. So maybe we see Gears 6. I'm pretty sure it exists, but we have no confirmation whatsoever. So Rodrigo, I'd just tell you, it's probably going to get announced soon, I would imagine. I don't know.
Don't you think if they're doing the Marcus Phoenix collection, I guess we're calling it, right? If they're doing that collection, don't you think that would be announced before Gear 6?
I'm predicting it gets announced simultaneously. Like,
okay.
They show the Gears collection. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to play this. It's been rebuilt. It's been sweetened up. And then they drop a 30-second trailer for Gears 6. Like maybe the play, if I was Xbox, like think about this. What would you do? Put out Gears collection at the end of 2024 and then plan for people to play the sequel for Gears 6 of Gears 6. I can't even think today. So like, you know what I mean? Like here's the Gears collection.
You want a gap. Right. You want a gap so people can play those, get up to date. Do you think it's going to be all 5 though? I think it's only going to be the first 3.
That's a very good point because 4 and 5 are already available on PC. I think the reason for this is to rebuild the older ones and get them all the way up on PC and Xbox. So that's a good call. Yes, I think it's just Marcus Phoenix collection. So, yeah. Yeah, so Rodrigo, good question. Thank you. In the past, I might have said, hey, we're here and it's coming. Get excited. But that's burned me way too many times. Sometimes things change, but I don't know. Matt Booty did say we have 10 games, and we all sat and went, I'm like, I got 8. I got 9. Yeah. Maybe we should break those down in just a moment. We'll go through the 10 games that are coming before we move on to the next thing. Sith Lord, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. And thank you for every Monday morning reaching out and saying you're looking forward to the shows this week. He says, William Byron wins the 524 and 24, baby. Let's go. And that sounds like sports. And I don't know what sports are, but I appreciate you. Hargeet Johnny has been a channel member for 31 months, but a friend much longer. He says, I think the games are more focused on Switch over PlayStation. I don't know if PlayStation players will buy and play those games, even with HD2. Oh, even with Helldivers 2. Now, Hargeet's about to say something that I cannot corroborate. I'll let Holly give it a shot. He says 3/4 of the players of Helldivers 2 are on Steam. I saw a lot of different numbers that I'm not touching. Go ahead.
Matt Piscatello. All right, everybody. Here's the rundown. No, I don't know. I'm trying to be Meg in this moment. This is what's going to happen. Let me tell you something.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Pierre David Monroe, you scumbag, blah, blah, blah. Just kidding.
I saw what you said.
Desiree. All right. So, no, Matt Piscatello was getting raked over the coals on Twitter today about this. What I saw was that 70% of the share was from Steam and 30% was from PlayStation. I've been playing on PlayStation, and I was able to get in with hardly any issues with servers, but I know that it is a big problem. But it does look like most of the players are on PC.
Okay, so most would be a safe word to use, I think. We saw numbers kind of going back and forth. Some of this stuff was reported only in the United States or in North America, and it's not really a good way to gauge how that goes. I did hear that it's doing really well on PlayStation. It's number 5 most played, which is way up there when you consider what most PlayStation players are playing, which is Twitter and Pornhub. No, I mean, which is Fortnite and Madden and stuff like that. There you go. No, I'm just kidding. They'll clip me for that. I deserve it.
That I was quiet then.
Let's talk about the 10 games. I'm going to really push your brain and memory on this. I'll start with a couple and then you fill in. So we've got.
I have fingers. I'm ready.
Yeah, I have to use fingers, right? We have to do it.
Yeah.
So help us out, chat. We're going to name 10 games. And I think there's a couple of games that will have to be sort of speculative. So I'm going to grab some ones I think you might miss because they're like, oh, okay. Flight Sim 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Towerborn. Call of Duty Gulf War. Mm-hmm. I have to keep the fingers up or we'll totally lose it. I'm going to look at the chat as well.
This is in 2024 alone?
2024 alone, because Matt Booty says we have 10 first-party games.
Yeah, okay.
Diablo 4 expansion, which Matt Booty is considering a release, which I'm like, whatever. I don't count those. Starfield Shattered Space. Okay, you get 5. You get the other 5.
Oh, geez. Thanks, Colt.
I left some easy ones.
Hellblade 2.
Okay.
Indiana Jones.
There you go.
Avowed. Ark or Ara History Untold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Robert Z has the 10th one.
Robert Z. Stalker 2.
So now, chat, if you're following along, I think there's 1 or 2 other games that are probably going to get announced. Or not Fable. No, Fable. We actually heard today that Fable is set for 2025, which is like the first kind of close number we have. Replaced? I don't think so. I hear a lot of people saying Replaced. I think Replaced is kind of on a, we don't know when we're going to finish it.
It's going to be this year.
You think so?
Replaced is this year. They tweeted. That's like my most anticipated game this year. So they tweeted a month or 2 ago that they're coming in like early fall, I think it was 2024.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, Alvin says 0 chance Matt Booty is counting Stalker 2 amongst that, which would also mean that they wouldn't be counting Well, maybe.
It's not first party technically, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he was specifically meaning first party or not. Like, yeah. Pierre David Moreau says, Colt Eastwood, the supposed exclusive Mandalorian. Yeah, I thought that was a thing. I actually reported on it about a year ago. I won't name another site that really thought that was it, and they said, we thought this was Xbox related, but it's like one of those things where wires got crossed, and it's actually a Respawn game. What a bummer, but we still get to play it. Just not going to be hidden from PlayStation, if that matters to some people. Towerborn is first party, Magnum. Towerborn is being published by Xbox Global Publishing. It's fully first party, and I would assume that Towerborn is also an IP that will belong to Xbox. If not, it's still first party according to them. So no, Clockwork Revolution is probably not coming out, but you guys said Replaced and 33 Immortals, a very small top-down multiplayer roguelite. I got to play it in LA. Have you seen it?
The trailer has me super excited for it. It reminds me of Hades a bit. The art style.
It's like a multi co-op Hades type game, and you kind of build
33 people is insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things like you quickly throw in your perks, if I remember right, like on the fly. You got to throw them in real quick. To kind of power up your character as you go along. You got to get out to the escape door before everyone dies. And yeah, I mean, it's not really my thing, but it should be cool. Yeah, I don't think South of Midnight or any of those other big games are coming this year. But one of my friends did tell me, he did say something like South of Midnight could be coming out this year. I'm like, I don't think so. I can't imagine seeing actual gameplay and they're like November. Not in this current climate.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing we got from this is that Xbox pretty much said, well, they didn't say this, but the Xbox name and brand is not going away. Phil Spencer also said yesterday in a message on Xbox Live, a fan's like, hey, Phil, when are all our games coming to xCloud? And he goes, this year, or whatever his answer was. I think his answer was like this year. He replied to some guy on Xbox Live. And I don't know if you guys understand the gravity of this, but this means every game you own on your Xbox console can be loaded up on xCloud sometime this year, instead of just the Game Pass stuff or the games with gold. Or whatever, however that works.
Do you believe that was true? Do you believe that screenshot was true?
It was corroborated thanks to our good friend on Twitter, Nico Mueller, who runs a really great account that just talks about things he loves. He posts gameplay pics. He reached out to that person on Xbox Live, said, hey, are you the person? He said, yeah, man, it like blew up. I couldn't believe it. He said, I just wanted to make sure it was legit. I believe him. I don't know. I just believe it. It's been a plan for a while, so maybe it's coming. I don't know how big is that a big deal to you guys, chat, to be able to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Wreckfest? No, those are on Game Pass. I don't know, like just your whatever game on the fly on xCloud. Holly, does that interest you? Do you even use this stuff?
When I saw that tweet, Phil is known to just answer randomly like this, which is so cool. But when I saw that, I went, he would just tell somebody that's huge. That's huge. I was like, that's huge. How did they not announce that? Because I have a Rogue Ally, right? So if I could play BioShock or, whatever other game that's not in Game Pass that I own digitally, if I could play that on the fly, that would be a big win for me.
It's got to be through xCloud, though. And I'm sure you've done that on your Rogue Ally, haven't you? Just done the xCloud stuff. I've done it on the Logitech G Cloud. It's dusty. I haven't used it in a while. I mean, it's like my PlayStation. I'm just kidding. My issue, you love your Rogue Ally. My issue is I don't feel super comfortable like being precise in the moment in combat with these buttons instead of like a controller and a big screen. I'm like, I already have beady eyes as it is. But yeah, that's a big deal. Phantom Death says, all the library on xCloud is massive. And I think it comes down to making licensing agreements. They do have to go through Ubisoft to get Call of Duty on xCloud because that was one of their things they had to do. If you remember the court fight.
Thanks, Kat.
Yeah. What? Let's talk about Hiroki Totoki, who probably has the coolest name on planet Earth. Hiroki Totoki. When I say it out loud, I don't feel like I don't feel worthy. What a great name, Hiroki Totoki. The COO of PlayStation has been kind of cranky about where PlayStation has been. Now, let's rewind ourselves back to a couple weeks where Holly and I were talking about the doom, the death, the gloom, the mushroom cloud that looms over Xbox, the brand name going away, that little Xbox logo being dissolved into a little Windows icon and all that melodrama. Mm-hmm. And just a day before Phil and Matt and Sarah are about to drop all this bad news on us, here is a quote from the COO. Sony expects PS5 hardware sales to start declining in its next fiscal year. Do you want to get messy with this, Holly? Because we could get messy.
Of course.
You're like, no, I don't want to do it. Chat, do you want to get a little bit crazy? Do you want to get a little bit messy? Hit a thumbs up on the video if you want to get a little bit nasty and just a little bit messy. Because I do, just a little. It's been it was an interesting weekend for me. Let's get a little saucy and a little spicy. Here's the quote.
Take away the be nice and be spice. Yes.
Be Ice Spice is going to be my new. Be Ice Spice. That'll be my new motto. All right, here's the thing. VGC condensed. I love Video Game Chronicles. I met Andy Robinson at the last event. He was like so calm. I'm like, bro, like I want to hang out. You're so cool. He's such a cool guy. Here's their quote. It is confirmed and plans to it plans to release, quote, no major franchise titles before April 2025. Now that quote on almost every video game media website and journalist site set PlayStation fans' hair on fire. Now, that's why I don't have hair. That won't happen to me. But this really upset people because the actual quote was, no major existing franchise titles like God of War or Spider-Man are coming before April 2025. The problem is, I think he was saying more than he let on. And this is an example of corporate speak. I'm going to throw myself to the wolves on this one. All right, are you ready? I think. You weren't even ready. Are you ready now?
Hold on. Warm up my hands. All right.
Wait.
I got my ears open and I'm ready. Let's do it.
I think he was telling the board that they don't have any of their major franchises ready, but I also believe he knows they don't have any major first-party games at all after they launch Helldivers and Final Fantasy Rebirth. And I would say that because they showed their state of play. They didn't show Concord. I would also ask the chat, is Concord a major game yet? Maybe. It could be. It could become major. But as I look forward to what's coming out on the consoles for PlayStation, I don't think any of their first-party titles or any money-hatted big franchise games are coming out at all before April 2025. And I think that's why he said that, because the shareholders who he's speaking to, or the investors, it was like a business thing, right? He's not going to use the nomenclature that we usually say. Like, yeah, he kind of has to give them a descriptor, the big things like God of War, Spider-Man. So a prominent PlayStation content creator who's really funny got really mad at my tweet where I quoted VGC saying no major titles, but I stand behind that it's not just existing franchises. I think right now, and I'm allowed to have a predictable opinion or opinion predicting, I don't think that PlayStation has anything big coming after this spring suite of games that are already set to come out until they get into the spring of 2025. And that might upset people. I'm going to ask you what you think about this because I took a crap ton of heat for thinking this.
I mean, they have Stellar Blade coming soon, end of April, right? They have Rise of the Ronin coming the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2. I really think they should move that, but
Yeah.
I really think they should move that. They have Stellar Blade coming the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2. I really think they should move that, but. 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 I really think they should move that And honestly, the state of play that they just did was way better than I had anticipated for it to be.
I liked
because
it.
I thought it was good. But I mean, I hate to say it, but it's only a year. Do you remember 2022 on Xbox? Woof.
She's like,
right?
She's like, I hate to say it, Xbox has gone way longer than a year.
It's not that big a deal.
Oh
There's
my
plenty. Let us compete. There's so many games that are coming out. It's like, to me, a year, it's not that big of a deal for first party games, right?
Yeah.
There's so many other games that come out during the year. The fact that we know Wolverine is in the landscape and this other game, which honestly hadn't even heard of until you told me about it.
Which one?
The one that started with a C you were just talking about? Concord. I don't know what that is.
When you said
I'm
C,
sorry.
I was thinking SEA. I'm like, Sea of Stars, Sea of Thieves.
Not that C, the other C.
I'm just used to us typing in our group chat, just
I
making
know,
fun of
I know.
everybody. I mean, just having laughs together. Yeah.
Don't
Whoops.
expose.
Sean the Breed's like, cold.
Like, hey, shout out to Sean. He has the best humor and it's always perfect timed. Like, he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think it's that big a deal. There's plenty of third party games. We know the drought and we've been through it many, many times. And it's just, it is what it is.
We definitely know it, but 2024 is kind of weird for the biggest games. Like, it's kind of strange to think that Xbox actually has the upper hand in 2024. As long as the games are great and their consistency has been a problem for such a long time, that when we sit here and count with our fingers, we get AI 12 fingers, get a couple extras. And we're like, if you get replaced in there and one other release, like maybe, like, let's pretend that Gears Marcus Phoenix Collection is one of them. And then it's highly possible that Forza Horizon 6 is a game at the end of the year. Maybe it's probably next year, but they could have more games than anybody. But you've got Dragon's Dogma, like you said. You certainly have plenty to play than to worry about PlayStation having a 1-year drought, so to speak, right?
And where is Marathon?
Not
I know
ready.
it's multi-plat, of course, right? That was part of Bungie's stipulation, but
Did you see the quote on
Where
that
is
today?
No.
Regarding Arrowhead and Helldivers and Marathon, it kind of read two ways to me, but somebody in the chat help us out. But it was something about Bungie was telling Helldivers like about the longevity of their game, and it almost sounded like Helldivers team said something to Bungie about Marathon, like they're kind of consulting back and forth. I won't say any absolutes because I don't know I'm not sure how that read. But it sounds like Bungie and them have been talking about how
for timing. To time
I think
them.
I think it's like them consulting back and forth, saying, I'm just going to speculate because I don't understand the quote I read because it actually contradicted itself, and so I'm like, I'm not going to really dive into that. But it sort of sounded like Bungie's like, oh hey, Arrowhead with Helldivers, like what's the longevity of what you have, or how's it looking? And they were also talking to them about Marathon. So they're definitely talking back and forth, which is pretty cool to see PlayStation have a synergy with their studios. And Arrowhead's not even a PlayStation studio. So I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah. Shout out to over 940 people. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. We are hobbling along talking about this crazy back and forth news. It's been a really bad push and pull. If you're a gaming fan, it's like, is it all going to be over? Like, is things going to be ruined? Like, everything that I loved, is it going to be okay? Hiroki Todoki says, it's been 4 months since I became chairman of Sony Interactive Entertainment. A big problem of SIE is that I found they don't necessarily have a deep understanding of how their work is being translated to growth, generation of sustainable profits, and higher margin for the unit as a whole. And they are experiencing a near decade-long thin profit margins. This coming in when Xbox is announcing in their last report that they are 8% on their operating. Shoot, I got it written here. I don't want to say the wrong words. On their operating margins, which is I had to like look this up. I'm like, are you, is anybody here a financial analyst that could help me out? But it's kind of tied between revenue and how much they're spending, and after everything's paid for, taxes, licensing, and doc fee, how much they're actually making. PlayStation is just under 6, and it looks like Xbox is at 8 with ABK tied in. So you could say that Xbox is doing better, Holly, but actually when you look at it, with the worry you get from Hiroki Totoki, it looks like both platforms are kind of biting their fingernails. Did you dive into that at all?
I saw some of the stuff that came out the last couple days or so, right, about their shortage, essentially because they have slowed down on their console production this quarter. There was an article that was put out that was very doomsday. Of course, it was like Xbox stopped all of their production this quarter, but it failed to also put that PlayStation had significantly lowered their projections for the quarter as well.
From 25 to 21 million consoles.
So I know that I pulled up the Hiroki Totoki conversation that was out today, right? About their concern about, it was 10 billion, right? I think it was 10 billion that they had talked about wasn't enough. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, Jim Ryan said the consoles aren't enough, yeah.
Yeah, so they're looking at what they're going to do. It's not just a keep going a status quo, right? That 6% isn't enough. And their company's going to want more. And as games cost more, they're looking at that. That's what was brought up, right? Production, how they reach other people, and you know what that means. It doesn't take rocket science to know what does that mean.
Right.
It means other screens. Right.
I want to talk about that next. I'm going to read some supers. I want to ask you about how soon PlayStation is going to go to PC. That might be changing in the very moment while we sit here, and looks super beautiful as we do that. We got Face23 Brooklyn, New York with the $20 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, I hope you're not planning to push the power narrative again in your videos, because you saw what happened between PlayStation 5 and Series X. Yeah, Face, I saw what happened. PlayStation killed it the first year. Xbox has been winning most of those power narratives, but I soon realized when I've been following Digital Foundry for a long time, and they've been saying that resolution has been an inconsequential metric with interpolation and up-res and AI up-res. Counting pixels no longer shows the power of the actual silicon. It's completely null and void at this point. And with the PlayStation 5 and Series X being so close, I mean, we talked about that for a long time. It really just became one of those things over the years where no one cared. I would talk about it on Twitter. I would make videos, and I just saw the chat always saying, Xbox fan or PlayStation fan, saying, who cares? It's not even that big of a difference. It was huge last generation when the Series X was like, I don't know what it was, 30 to 40% more powerful just on the hardware alone. And then it showed in resolution on every game. But when you saw all these things that went over you guys have all been here for the 3 years of the generation where they say, here's the games, they're running the same resolution target, the same frame rate target, the settings are the same across the board. Honestly, just kind of got boring, and I just realized people just really don't care like they used to. And so, I don't know. And I've watched Digital Foundry kind of pivot. They talk about a lot more varied stuff because their content is fantastic. I love those guys. I love them. They're great. Where am I? We've got RC Polygons. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. He says, with stocks dropping means less investments, means less money to invest into PlayStation. These margins are getting smaller and smaller. PlayStation needs to start doing day and date on PC like yesterday. I love that professional super chat. Thank you for that. We're gonna come around to that in just a second, RC. That's good. Spartan661 says, I think Killer Instinct would be one of those games to go multi-plat. I'd love to show PlayStation fans that Xbox players would be ultra combo them to infinity and beyond. You know what, Spartan? I would love to see Killer Instinct come to PlayStation, full crossplay as it would be, of course. And I would love to see that metric come out when it says this many players won more matches on this platform which would be super cool. I would love to see that. That's an actual thing. Like, hey, let's see who's actually really good when they play the games. Because I'm terrible at Killer Instinct. Kid Smooth, our good friend, who's been on the show I think 3 times he's been on here. He says, did they confirm Call of Duty and Game Pass? I'm not sure, kid. That's what I was asking Holly, because I think when they say all first-party games, I don't think they're going to say, well, we can't do Call of Duty. I think they kind of have to stick to that. Right, Holly? Maybe?
I didn't think Call of Duty was going to be. But then after this week, it seemed pretty likely now. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
it will be.
I think we'll kind of err on the side of, I'm pretty sure Call of Duty will launch in Game Pass when it comes out, which I think will be a big deal. Because as we've said on the show, and Meg has said it more than me, thankfully, because I'm glad he says this, because he's more of a PlayStation guy. That's why he's here. He's a pony. Xbox needs to be more consistent. And if I look back, Holly, at all the offerings that have come out over the past couple of years on Game Pass, I don't think they have enough of big, awesome, great games. Not often enough. I think they need to do better. What do you think?
Call of Duty is the key to all of the shooter prizes, right? So it would be super fantastic. It's I think you just, I don't know, you knock it out of the park. It would really make Game Pass super extra, especially for those people who always buy Call of Duty, play it for like a month or 2, and then they never touch it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Till the next one comes out. Like, get Game Pass for 2 months instead of paying $80 or $70 with tax, right? For Call of Duty to play it 2 months, get Game Pass. And then guess what? You'll hang out a little bit longer, right? Because you tried this other thing or this other thing.
I don't think people often cancel their Game Pass subscription. I bet people come in and stay for quite a while, I would assume. And don't you think that people would buy Call of Duty like crazy and still gain subscribers because of Call of Duty? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I would still buy Call of Duty, but I play the battle passes. I do all of that stuff, right? And I want to own the game so that later on I could come back and play the campaign and all of that stuff and have my things, which I would anyway, but you never know, right?
Oh, we were getting kind of sweaty in the zombies mode with our friends when that came out. That was fun. Fonz Gaming has a super chat that a lot of people are saying in the chat tonight. He said, I like this version of Mag.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me tell you something.
I hit up Holly before and I'm like, do you have a big rubber scalp thing you could put on so you can look? No? Okay, just come on. Just show up like you are, I guess.
Condom?
Jeez. Yeah, no, don't do that. Assassin Entertainment, our good friend. Thank you so much. He's on the Renegade Realm podcast. He is the non-camera guy. We'll fix that. He says, good to see Xbox isn't dying.
Only
and
for
how
now.
so Really?
Only for now.
Only for now. Okay.
Assassin,
he said,
come on.
Yeah, Assassin, come on now. Good to see Xbox isn't dying and how many people still support the community. Holly, where did you hide Mag's body? Did he refuse Womanscape?
He shaved too close, and now he's trying to recover. That's the problem. Skin's kind of thin.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you get old. Phase 23, Brooklyn, New York. Thank you for another $20 super chat. He said Sony is following Xbox. That's right. They are. I mean, they follow each other quite a lot. He said there's no talk about games going to Xbox. There's no day one games and retail subscription. There's no day one single player games going to PC. So Colt, when is Sony doing day one on PC time frame? I'm so glad you said this because these are things that PlayStation is probably trying to remedy immediately. Because I think that if they put their first party games on their highest tiered subscription service, they would rack up residual revenue streams like crazy. And I'll bet you what, Face, I'll bet you they know it too. And they got to push back a couple of people who are stuck in a traditional business model. Right now, the CEO of PlayStation is saying, your tradition's not working and we need to fix it ASAP. I've been here for 4 months. I think they fired Jim Ryan. And I think they need to make big changes. And big changes doesn't mean them going on to Xbox. There's no reason for their games to go on Xbox. But man, when they look at that sweet Steam money coming off of Helldivers 2, they're like, peel me off a couple sawbucks. So, Holly, let's talk about how soon is PlayStation going to become PCMR and go?
Well, the problem with Sony is they like to keep their money, right? They don't sell their digital gift cards through anyone but themselves. They really I think that's part of the reason that they struggle with going to PC, which they're in a lawsuit now, right? In the UK about that. The EK or the EU? About
the EK?
The EK. There you go. It's one of those.
EKU.
So they they like to sell it themselves or not sell it at all. But I think the Helldivers is a really good test on how it is day and date. The writing's on the wall for a couple years now that Sony is interested in selling their games on PC sooner and sooner and sooner. And I don't think there's anything that's going to stop them from pushing that up, especially now that we've got a change in leadership. It's a good time. It's always a good time to shake things up when there's a change in leadership, because that's when the new person comes in and gets it done right away. There's a whole bunch of change all at once. It kind of distracts people, right? So it's plus you can say, well, that guy is the guy who made us do it, right? Or they can point at the gas guy, right? Like, he had all these games and that's why we're here, or whatever it is. So I would say, based on this new quote from Hiroki Totoki, that we will be seeing PC day and date within the next 1 to 2 years.
Okay. I like that. The adding the 2 in there is pretty safe. I really think it's going to be in the next year.
Well,
but
they don't have any games this year. You just talked about it.
Oh, shoot! Exposed. Yeah. You're like, what games, Colt? Huh? Ask Mighty Keith what games. Mighty Keith came at me so hard, and I like the guy. I think his stuff's hilarious, but he said the console war was melting my brain. I'm like, bro, the tweet's like so even keeled. It's like, Xbox's hardware is up. PlayStation's hardware is expected to decline. Amy Hood, which I didn't write in the tweet, is already expecting their console sales to decline. Like, there's this, the CEO said it, or COO said it. I think that's what they're calling him. Yeah, I mean, that's just the information there. It literally has nothing to do with console wars. And finally I said, all right, yeah, I didn't put in the full quote, but where are the major games? And he's like, well, we don't know. They could announce something. Like, you really? I didn't get into the conversation with them, but some other fans, I was like, do you guys really think about it. Does PlayStation have something they're going to show at the next State of Play in maybe 2 months that's like big, and it's going to come out like in the holiday 2024, or it's going to launch early in 2025? Maybe. Like, how likely is that? What is it? Because now you're talking about, Holly, you're talking about a game that we don't know exists yet. Like, are they going to say, here's blobby blah blah from our studio, and it's coming out in 8 months? Like, we don't see that very much. Not on a big major game. So that's kind of where I'm like, what do they have? And you're like, PC's not till next year or the year after. So, and it takes time to port things. All right, let me grab a couple other ones. Yudana Kizada, thank you so much for the 5. He says, a snack machine vendor at Microsoft campus told me that Xbox has marketing rights to Madden 25 with Taylor Swift on the cover. Oh my gosh. Donnie's hilarious. Holly, let's talk about this. This is a full 1 hour topic. Why didn't Taylor Swift propose to Travis Kelce at the Super Bowl and go?
Oh gosh, do we have to talk about Taylor Swift ever? Like,
this is the Taylor Swift podcast.
I've never seen it. Okay, this is gonna get a lot of people angry, so it's fine. I've never seen a football game in my life. I've never been to one. I've never watched one. I've never watched one on TV. No. All I've ever watched are the ads and the halftime shows afterwards on Tubes of You. That's it. I've never
watched a football. You've never like been to someone's house and sat and watched like the Ravens play the cheese nuggets or whatever?
Never.
Never.
I
mean, I've never watched a cricket game, but I'm not from cricket land or whatever. But
Cricketia? No.
Cricketia.
So if she and I don't care.
All right. Fair enough. We're moving on from Taylor Swift, chat. As much as you tried, we're not going to talk about Taylor Swift. All right. Risk It for the Biscuit has been a channel member for 29 months. Made another video in his car. Every time I see Risk It talking in his car, I'm like, well, buckle up because it's about to get dramatic and I'm probably going to end up laughing in the end. And this cretin, our good friend Risk It for the Biscuit, was laughing about a $10 billion loss at PlayStation. I mean, he was laughing. And I'm like, Risk It, come on, bro. But it's true. Things are not all sunshine and rainbows. He says, Holly, how's your head after it exploded like a melon last night? Shout out to chat, Colt, Happy, Udana, Yodani, Xbox, best Xbox lives. What, did you guys play a game last night or did somebody's melon explode?
Risk It. Don't ever have Risk It play Helldivers with you because there's friendly fire. Mm-hmm. And he thinks it's funny to pop your melon off all the time and use up the reinforcements because either he can't aim, which I'm thinking is a strong possibility because I have played Call of Duty with him, or he's just the guy you never want to have behind you.
That's a troll.
That's the story. I don't care what he writes in the chat. It's all a lie.
Yeah, when I was playing Helldivers, like Pony Clomper kept shooting me in the back of the head, like while we were trying to shoot the bugs, and I would just die. And it was like Pony Clomper 72 has killed you. I'm like, but I was thinking maybe it was crossplay, and he's like, Colteastwood, kill, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, you can drop your reinforcement pod on your guy and kill him. So yeah. But I don't know. It's crazy. It's good. They have a big shooter. They have a big multiplayer game. And this is what PlayStation wanted. They wanted games as a service because they know that they're doing really well. And it's good to see them having a good... Oh, yes. Phase 23 reminds me. I was going to say this while you were talking. Jeff Grubb said there's a new Astrobot game coming this year. And that's not a major game, but you're dang sure that's a good game because Astrobot's fantastic. Tell me you've played Astrobot's Playroom.
Astrobot's Playroom is my favorite game I've played on my PS5 so far. I love that game. It is so good. Then the old stuff in the back. So when I saw that pop up, I was like, yes, bring it on. It's like, I'm so excited for that. Yes.
I think we've 100%ed all the content. I think we unlocked all the little collectible hardware pieces. Like you fill a room with all the PlayStation gear. I'm pretty sure I think we almost emptied the little vending machine. What a great game.
Oh yeah, with the balls, the little balls that pop out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah. It's so good.
Really good. So I also say, Holly, that Astrobot and Sackboy Big Adventure are the most brilliant games on the PlayStation 5 right now. And I don't think anything for me comes close. Those games are fantastic. So that's the team, one of the teams behind Crackdown that made that. Sumo Digital are fantastic. True 77 says, Colt, you're gosh dang right it is. Yeah, I think he's talking about Astrobot or Sackboy Big Adventure. Sackboy. Yeah. We got one more. Assassin Entertainment says, thank you, Assassin, for being here. That's crazy to hear, Donnie. The HEB gas clerk told me that Xbox is going to make a Halo Gears hentai game marketed by Special Nick from Xbox era. No. If it was Special Nick, it'd have to be Rocket League. All right, let's see. Where were we? We're totally off topic. Here's another quote from Hiroki Totoki. He says, in the past, we wanted to popularize console, and the first-party title's main purpose was to make the console popular. This is going back to that quote you're talking about. It is true that there's synergy to it, so if you have strong first-party content, not only with our console, but with other platforms like computers, first-party can be grown with multi-platform, and that can help operating profits to improve. So that is another one we want to proactively work on. I personally think there are opportunities out there for improvement of margins, so I would like to go aggressive in improving our margin performance. Close quote from Hiroki Totoki. And he says, I'm going to repeat this and give you the mic on this one. First party can be grown with multi-platform, and that can help operating profits improve. I want to go aggressive in improving our margin performance. So, PC, how soon? Like, are you thinking like every game that they're going to have to launch them on there because they think the consoles still sell, but they need to make that extra money? What is aggressive?
Well, the problem is, like, you can't just, like, people worry about games going to PC, but honestly, PC has a lot of pros, but has a lot of cons too for a lot of people. They just don't want to sit at a desk. They don't want to take the time and set up their PC at their at their TV. A lot of people don't want to deal with updates. They don't want to spend the money. Like, there's a lot of things with PC that people don't want to deal with, right? So you're always going to have a need for console. I don't know. Like, yes, PC sales do cannibalize console sales to a degree, but I don't think it's enough to not want the sweet money that comes with selling your game on PC. So the real question here is, I think all for sure, right? All gas games, all these multiplayer games, PC day and date. No question.
Yes, I agree. Okay.
What
But
about Wolverine?
Wolverine? We're thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, a few months ago, we would say Wolverine's just going to launch on PS5 and it'll come to PlayStation 1 to 3 years later, depending on when they get that port done. With Insomniac soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, guys. Shareholders, investors, and leadership at Sony don't care about console exclusivity. Same with Xbox's leadership or Microsoft's gaming leadership. They don't care about the importance and loyalty to the console platform and those users, because they all take a step back and say, okay, how important is the console exclusive for PlayStation? Well, let's look at the majority of our exclusives. They sell 10 to 20% of the overall platform base, right? So it's like, how important it is? Is it? Well, 20% important at the most, for the most part. You know, of course, Spider-Man is an exception. It sells more than your normal exclusive. Mm-hmm. So you're like, how bad is it going to hurt to put a game on PC? You could see a 20% drop. You really think that the 20% that buy in on the next Ghost of Tsushima 2 are going to say, well, I'm not buying a console anymore? They're more than likely to just go ahead and buy the game where they already own the console, right? Or they're going to go buy the console because, like you said, which was grossly generalized, that people don't want to mess with PCs. I'm with you on half of those things, by the way. There are some things that are ridiculous. Getting your game display on your TV properly all the time. Having a mouse and keyboard next to you so you can get in and out of games or get into chat and whatnot and all that stuff. But I sit down right there or right here with a wireless controller and played Helldivers, so it can be done. But some people have their PC in a different room. So buy another TV! But I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. Chat, what do you think about that? Do you think they're going to... Holly makes a really good point. They don't want to give their money to Steam all the time. And they're certainly not making a PlayStation Store that I know of. So...
Well, there's also... Think about it too, right? Like, any game that launches on a console and then does a later launch on an alternate platform, let's say PC, you have a drop-off of people that are going to... If people that are already on PC, you're going to have less people buying the game a year later, 2 years later, than you would if you dropped it on PC day and date, because of the marketing, because of the hype around the game, because of word of mouth, all of those things. Your friends are playing it. You want to experience it too. Even if it's single player, you're still going to talk about what's going on with the game. Mm-hmm. So buying it a year later, you still want to play it, but the hype is gone. And they're not going to ramp up all of the marketing for PC release. So you are leaving money on the table even by just releasing it 6 months, a year, 2 years later. And it's probably enough for them to say, yep, nope, we'll take the hit, we'll take the heat for a little bit, right? And it may even make up for what they would lose to the Steam fees.
Yeah. I mean, they're only losing 30%. And I guess when you think about Helldivers 2 only launching on PS5, that 30% cut from Steam has well paid off. If we are to believe that Helldivers 2, let's just say the majority of people play it even if it's just 51% or whatever, we could assume that more people are playing it on PC than they are on PlayStation 5. So I think they're okay with that. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Pushing Polygon asked both of us, do you ever double dip and buy your games on console and then turn around and buy them on PC? Have you done this yet? You haven't had this PC very long.
Yeah, I haven't had this PC very long. I have Alan Wake 2 on both of them. A couple times, but not probably as much because I get really salty buying something more than once. like it's just, especially at full price. If it's like an older game and I just want to, over here, no big deal. But do you?
Yeah,
do you
but
buy?
There's a difference right now. I don't usually buy. Right now I wouldn't double dip games because in the past, when I first got into PC gaming, was in the middle of the Xbox One generation, where so many games ran at 30 and they're so held back by that hardware. So I bought Fallout 4 on PC and I'm like, oh, this is so much nicer. Yeah, but for the most part, these consoles, people might actually get upset if I say this, but I think for the most part, games look very, very similar. And unless you're trying to overrun frame rates like above the 60 range, like you're kind of getting the same experience. Where last generation, if you were to play Fallout 4 on Xbox One or PlayStation 4 compared to PC, you really got an easy to discern difference in the game because it, couldn't run above 30 and it barely ran at 30. But I would happily buy those games. But right now, I bought Gotham Knights on PC because of that holdback. The game ran at 30 on console and I enjoyed it. So, but for the most part, I think games they still look really nice. Like, we complain a lot, Holly, but games look pretty darn nice and they play really well. And it really comes down to, is it the game for you or is it going to have the longevity you're hoping for? I don't think there's as many complaints right now as there used to be.
Yeah, very true.
So, yeah, well, what a crazy time. I'm kind of glad we got to I'm really glad we got to get all this out in the open and talk about how we feel about the update. And we didn't really dive into it as much as we could have, but I feel like we've all processed it over the week. And I will say that Xbox will look at another couple of games. I would say maybe next year they'll look at another couple of games to bring to PlayStation or Switch. And once that Switch comes out, if it can play more multi-platform games, Xbox might pick some stuff that's been out a while. It's not the end for that. And I'll also say I don't think PlayStation is going to bring games to Xbox anytime soon. I think I'll say this, and then I want to hear what your take is in the future. I think in the 2030s, I think consoles are just they're not going to have that same luster and appeal as they once did. So I don't know. What do you expect in the near future from these platforms?
I expect a lot of, I don't know if this is the right word to say, but I expect a lot more consolidation.
Okay.
I think if there's a way like the Rogue, right, where you've got Windows and you can do the Steam, you can do Epic, you can do GOG on there, you can also play Game Pass and your games that you own there, and soon you could play xCloud. All the games you own that are on xCloud. So I envision a world where that is eventually where the consoles go. We know a lot of people are just going to PC anyway. PC growth is big. PC is a huge market. And as they become more affordable and easier, I think that the natural progression is to just consolidate Xbox and PC, especially for Microsoft. It's like a no-brainer for them. Now, how that works with Steam and, the other and Epic and the stores, that's a whole nother animal, but I'm sure that could be worked out. Unlike YouTube being on my flipping Xbox where I can't just stream to it. Xbox. Make friends.
That's a Google problem. Remember, Google hates Microsoft and they won't.
I know. That it drives me nuts.
No.
Please figure it out.
So dumb.
It is. It's really aggravating. Anyway, so I see a lot more consolidation of hardware, not necessarily, software companies or developers or things like that. I mean, that will come too with the with the economy kind of not doing so great. I think that will also come, but
you make a really good point. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, as a factor of the economy, obviously, and some of the things we've been seeing at Embracer and some of the others,
it just continues.
Yeah, very, very unfortunately. So, consolidation in different ways. What do you think?
Well, like when you say the word consolidation, we always think of studios being conglomerated together and owned underneath a single umbrella. But I like kind of where you're alluding to, because that's not exactly what you mean. Because I think the near future means a wholesale change in the way licensing works with games, where there'll be more cross-play and more cross-platform ownership of games. And once these big publishers can come to agreements of how you play a game, I'll say that if you bought, I like using this as an example, if you bought Assassin's Creed Odyssey on your Xbox One, Ubisoft says that game you bought is only supposed to be played on an Xbox One. But the licensing kind of is able to stretch to say, okay, it can also be played on Xbox Series console. That's okay. And now it'll say, excuse me, that you can play that on xCloud, because somehow that Xbox's team has worked out that that is considered part of an Xbox. It's running in an Xbox, literal Xbox piece of hardware in the cloud server, right? So licensing has to kind of stretch and pull to work for us as consumers. I think the future will be that those barriers will be removed. Licensing will be able to spread out to where if the next trend is a console-like PC that you could buy from different companies that play all of your games plus the Steam and EA and Uplay stores, like if they can get around that, like I talked about last week, if they can get around that, the future might actually be, consoles are so restrictive. I'd rather go to PC and get the console experience on these new boxes that cost $800 instead of $1,200, so to speak. I think that's kind of where you and I think the future might be going. And I think a lot of barriers have to come down, but you make a really good point. Holly talks about the financial situation is not really super sustainable right now. So something has to change, and that may be it. That's the show, guys. I don't have anything. I don't want to bang a drum for an hour about how PlayStation is hurting or Xbox is desperate and needing to make changes, because we're already seeing it. But Holly, it's been super great having you on. Tell them where they can find you in the 17 or 2 podcasts you do, and what you're going to be doing this week. Sell yourself. Go for it. This is your moment.
So surprise, I am not middle-aged game guy. My name is That Blue Number or Holly, and I am on the Renegade Realm podcast on Tuesday nights, 5 p.m. Central. So you guys have to figure out your time zone for that. 5 p.m. Central is what I've got. And that's with Red Wolf, who is occasionally guesting here as well. And then on Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central, again, do the math, I am on the Infinite podcast with Risk It for the Biscuit, Infinite, Umbra, and then we have guests that come through. And I just want to say, chat, thank you for being nice to me. And Colt, thank you so much. Thank you so much, though, honestly, for having me on. I got the call, and it was just really, really great. And thanks for being a good friend for years now. So, yeah. That's my outro.
I mean, thank you. Thank you. I was, I just before the show, I saw the picture of us at lunch with Jez and Clobril and Sean Labrie. Yeah. And, oh, gosh, those times are so great. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's and thank you everybody in the chat for dealing with the speculation talk, and I'm glad we came out alive on the other side. People got really upset. You guys are amazing for being so supportive. I'll be doing this week. I'll probably be covering the hardware. We didn't cover it in detail in this show. I'll cover it in a video. And I'm Colteastwood, and thank you. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Hopefully we got 500 likes before we get out of here, but we're just a couple minutes earlier than normal. Nope, not enough. We'll need like 30 more likes, but we appreciate you guys. We'll be back here next week for the XNC Podcast with Mag, and we'll see. Maybe we'll bring another guest on. Who knows? The world is ours. But thank you guys. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.